It's very dangerous. On one hand, we want to be supportive of this because this gives opportunities definitely to fuel new companies. But on the other hand, there's a lot of irresponsibility goes with this. There's a lot of fraud that's being created because ICOs, if they're based on just a white paper and they're just raised on that, then that's a problem and that's a scam. But on the other hand, if they have SEC filing, if they have DD packages, due diligence packages, if there's some product that we can invest in, then I think that's an interesting opportunity. But I see this as a tool rather than a currency. I see cryptocurrencies as an ability for companies such as Kodak. You had the Kodak coin. And that was fascinating because Jeff Clark came from Orbitz, right? And he said, how am I going to take this company and make it relevant? How am I going to take this company and make it innovative? And so he created this Kodak coin, and I think that it created loyalty. It solved one of their biggest problems. 90% of photographers of photographs are not monetized.
Right.
There's a lot here that companies can do to use these coins in an innovative way. But on the flip side, there's a danger in these young startups with no responsibility. We invest in people. We don't invest in how much that they're raising.
So it doesn't bother you that the Kodak coin was roundly ridiculed in some circles?
You know what? That's absolutely, and so is Bitcoin being ridiculed, and so are all the cryptocurrencies, and so is blockchain to a certain extent. I think that until we have some sort of understanding on the applications, and of course there's going to be volatility, but everything that's innovative, coming from the Silicon Valley, everything that's innovative is criticized first, right? But then now you see YouTube, and YouTube went through a very hard time, but now YouTube is really having this tremendous velocity. You're seeing Instagram. It's the adoption of a new innovative way, and that's really the problem. I'm not going to damn anything except for the scams that are being basically ridiculed across China, Korea. That's where there was the shutdown and the lack of transparency.
And certainly when you look at Bitcoin and the other cryptocurrencies, they're falling today because of the ongoing crackdown in places like China and South Korea.
Yeah.
Increased discussion about regulation, both here in the U.S. and really throughout the world. So the multi-billion-dollar question, how do you regulate without stifling that innovation?
See, I don't know if you can, to tell you the truth, because it's almost like an oxymoron. In one case, we do want some regulation around that, but how far are we going to go? I think it's fascinating what Venezuela is doing. What Japan is doing is creating this sovereign currency, right? And I think that inherently will create the optimal regulation. But then on the other hand, here, I think regulation is what we're talking about is transparency. We're really trying to talk about accountability. And I think that there has to be new regulation, as in every new industry. When we had eBay, when we had, the trust and safety issues around eBay, there was policy that was created from that. I don't think the regulation is in place right now. I think it has to be created. I think this is the Wild West without a sheriff.
But are you looking for it to come from any one country? Or any one part? Who's going to lead on this?
I think the U.S. needs to lead.
Even though the majority, I don't know, we're certainly not the locus of trading around the world.
Yes, I realize that, but I think we are the epicenter of innovation. And if we can't, we need to lead the way. We need to show how these applications will work. I think that there's a tremendous value in blockchain. I think how it's being applied to every single industry. I'd like to look more on the healthcare. I mean, what Alphabet is doing in healthcare, we have Google, we have now Amazon potentially hopping into healthcare. You have, that's an area that needs to be really watched. It's blockchain that's going to be fueling, that's the turbo tech boost. I don't think it's the cryptocurrencies.